your go-to resource for U.S. immigration insights. We provide clear immigration news and information. Our platform provides a network of licensed attorneys who can answer your questions and guide you through the process. From visas to green cards, asylums to citizenships, immigrationquestion.com helps you to network with immigration attorneys so that you can move forward with confidence. Sign up today or download the app. Free registration, limited time offer. Stay tuned. We go live in 30 seconds.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special edition webinar hosted by immigrationquestion.com, a networking platform and meeting ground where immigrants, families, advocates, and licensed immigration attorneys come together to understand U.S. immigration policies and procedures better. My name is Samia Murat, and I will be your host for today's important discussion. O-1 Visa Secrets: How Individuals with Extraordinary Ability Can Secure U.S. Work Authorization. In this highly competitive global workforce, many talented professionals seek opportunities to bring their skills, their achievements, and their expertise to the United States. Among the available employment-based immigration options, the O-1 visa stands out as a category designed for individuals who have demonstrated extraordinary ability in their field. However, determining whether someone qualifies and presenting a compelling case often involves much more than simply having an impressive resume. For professionals in industries ranging from business, technology to science, education, athletes, and the arts, the O-1 visa can open doors to unique opportunities in the United States. Yet many applicants are uncertain about what immigration authorities look for, how achievements are evaluated, and what evidence can strengthen a petition. To help us break this down, we are honored to be joined by Attorney Zaia Esquire, dual licensed attorney in the United States and Brazil, and the founder of Zaia Law, serving clients across 50 states. A graduate of Penn State Dickinson Law, Attorney Zaia focuses on employment-based immigration with experience handling O-1 visas and EB-2 national interest waiver cases for talented professionals. He is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and highly skilled workers navigate the U.S. immigration system through strategic long-term planning. Attorney, thank you for joining us today. We're thrilled to have you in this special edition.
Thank you, Sarah. It was a pleasure meeting you today.
Before we begin, just a quick reminder to our audience, immigrationquestion.com is a public, educational, and networking platform. The information shared today is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute individualized legal advice. Whether you're joining us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or another platform, welcome. Please subscribe and share this session with anyone who may benefit from learning more about O-1 visas and employment-based immigration opportunities. Okay. Let's just dive straight in. To begin, can you explain what is the O-1 visa and who is it designed for?
Great. Well, the O-1 visa is a visa for extraordinary abilities. This is a non-immigrant visa, so it doesn't get anyone a green card, but this could be a great path for a green card. These visas specifically is not made for one field or one field specifically. It could be used by researchers, professionals in the industry, experts, or even startup entrepreneurs. So this is a very good visa because it has different ways that you can pursue this. So you can either have an employer that wants to have your services here in the United States. You could have foreign employers use agent to file on their behalf and then seek you to have here, or even have your own company file on your behalf for you to come develop your business in the U.S.
Okay. What achievements or accomplishments tend to carry the most weight in these type of cases?
That's a great question. Depends on the, of course, industry and field of the beneficiary, but usually what we try to explore is what are the main criteria that these individuals can explore based on their profile. And we usually try to understand whether they have awards. If they're, for example, from the academia, researchers, they usually go to conferences, and this is a great way for them to showcase their recognition in the field. They have been awarded these prizes and awards that are nationally or internationally recognized. This is a great way. But now, if you're an industry expert, usually you're developing solutions on a daily basis, so that could also count as a contribution for the field. So it really depends on the field and of expertise of the individual that is seeking the O1. But there are various ways that we can explore this and understand what are the best achievements for these individuals to pursue in the O1 visa.
Okay. How does the O1 visa compare with options such as the H1B, the EB1A, and the EB2 national interest waiver?
Great. Yeah, the good comparison against H1B visa. And then the biggest advantage among these two H and O visa is the fact that you don't have to go through the lottery. There's no limitation as well, meaning there could be 200, 300, 400,000 O1s approved in a single year. When it compared against H visas, you have to go through lottery because there's only 65,000. And also, you have the $100,000 fee for the H visa that's been in discussion and litigation recently. But that's the biggest advantage that O has against H visas. Of course, the O visa has a more stringent requirement, meaning it's a bit more restrictive, meaning you have to show a little bit more. On the H visa, you'd have to show that you are a professional with a bachelor's degree at the very minimum. But for the O visa, you'd have to go a little bit over and show that you are actually someone of extraordinary abilities, meeting at least 3 of the 8 criteria. So it is a little harder when compared to H visa, but also it has a lot more opportunities because there's no limitations. Now, if you compare the O visa with the H visa, I like to call it the cousin of EB1 visa because the criteria are very similar among the two visas, O1A and EB1A. The biggest difference between the two is the O1 visa is a non-immigrant, EB1 is an immigrant visa, meaning you get a green card once the EB1 is approved. O1, you don't get that green card. But what most people don't think is that sometimes it's much better, much more advantageous for you to first apply for O1 visa, secure your non-immigrant visa so you can come to the United States, secure or remain in the United States if you're already here. And after that, you can use that as a stepping stone for EB1A. So that's a good way to put that. The visas are very similar, but O1 has I would say, less stringent, less restrictive requirements than the O1. The way the O1A, when compared to EB1, the O1A, it's adjudicated a bit more broadly and easier to meet the requirements. So they're not trying to understand as much as if you actually have all of the recognition in the field. Versus EB1A, you have to have a much more solid profile to actually showcase that you are someone of extraordinary abilities and you have been recognized for the recent years and have been performing as an extraordinary abilities professional in your field. When compared to the EB1A, to the EB2 and IW now, similar things. EB2 also confers you with a green card. The O1 doesn't, but both are very good because you can have lots of flexibility. But one thing that I like the O1 versus the EB2 is the fact that O1 has a much more objective adjudication process when compared to the EB2 and IW. EB2 and IW brings all the national interest waiver question to the table, and now it's completely different the way it's adjudicated. So for the O1, you have the criteria, and if you meet 3 out of the 8, and you show that you're actually someone of extraordinary abilities, then you will be getting your O1 visa to actually come to the United States and perform in a role on your field. So there's a lot of advantages, of course, for the EB2, but currently we're facing a much more uncertain scenario with immigration. For the EB2, we've seen lots of denials when it comes to the EB2 and IW, especially because of its subjectivity on the national interest portion. And then if you're looking for a more secure option, the O1 would always be. I'd say a lot of the people that qualify for DB2 and IW also qualify for the O2. Of course, you have to go through a consultation to understand what are the strategies that we can use for you to go forward with the O1A. but a lot of the people that are pursuing EB2s are also eligible for O1 visa, and that would be a great way to use also as a stepping stone, as I mentioned previously, to first get your non-immigrant visa to remain or come to the United States, to start developing your business if you're an entrepreneur, or even start working in your field and getting more recognition, and then you could pursue a green card through EB1A or EB2NIW if that's the case.
Okay. And what are some of the common reasons O1 petitions receive RFEs or they get denied?
Well, I'd say most of the reasons people are trying to claim some of the criteria that are not actually met. This is extremely important that you understand the foundation of your case. So I usually recommend you're usually ready to pursue an O1 visa if you have at least 2 to 3 criteria as a foundation of your petition. So if you're in the industry, usually you're looking for a salary or contributions or even critical role. These are usually the foundation criteria for industry experts. Now, if you're on the academia research side and publishing scholarly articles, judging are more on your favor, and then you can use those as a foundation. So understanding that is very important, because now sometimes it's better to claim just 4 criteria instead of claiming 6, because the extra 2 may not even be as strong or actually met, and they could trigger an RFE. So this is where most people get it wrong. They try, okay, I need to meet as many criteria as possible in order to have the best chance for the O1. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you will have a better chance. Sometimes by adding more to your petition, you might be making it weaker, because you're taking the officer's attention from the good criteria, the foundational criteria you should focus on, to weaker criteria, and that could trigger an RFE. So they can start questioning, like, hey, if this is a weaker criteria, is this actually a very good criteria on the other side here? And then they can start asking questions. They could issue an RFE there. Making sure that you are covering every single element. Understanding the criteria as a whole, it's also a very important part of the process, because each criteria, it's very specific and it has elements to it, meaning you have to meet all of the elements for a specific criteria. And if you don't meet one of them, that will be sufficient for an RFE to be triggered. So understanding the criteria specifically, and that's why we always suggest that pursuing the O1 visa or any visa with an attorney is very recommended, because we understand the criteria and how we see these every day, and we can actually teach you a little bit about how we can interpret the criteria, and then understanding how actually helps you provide us with the documentation to meet the criteria.
And you mentioned before there was stepping stones. Can the O1 visa serve as a stepping stone towards something like permanent residence? If so,
absolutely. How? Absolutely, yeah, it could. More specifically, we see that if you're an individual from China, India, you're usually facing huge backlogs. So that could also be a great reason for you to have a gap visa. The O1 could be a great gap visa and used as a stepping stone there as well. But the fact that the O1 is a non-immigrant visa is a much faster processing timeline, because it doesn't involve consular processing or adjustment of status. And using that as a stepping stone is great to fill in the gap, to actually get a faster entry to the United States if you're outside, or even getting a faster result and actually being able to remain in the US. But also getting the approval may serve as a testing for your profile. So if you filed the O1 visa, it could be a great place for you to be after an approval. Now you feel a lot more confident. You know that you already been considered of someone of extraordinary abilities, and that could be used in your favor for a secondary application, such as the EB1 or EB2NIW. Of course, that doesn't mean that because you've got the extraordinary ability classification approved through the O1 visa, it doesn't mean that you'll get an approval for the EB1A automatically. But that definitely helps a lot with the fact that you already got that approved. The officer will definitely look at your petition for EB1A, for example, with a lot better eyes than he would if you didn't have that.
And for individuals who believe that they have extraordinary abilities, but they're unsure whether they qualify, what's some advice that you can give them about pursuing O1 status successfully?
Great. So what I usually tell individuals, and then I've had a webinar about this, is how can you get ready for O1 filing in 6 months, right? So the first step, and I've mentioned this throughout the webinar now, you should know your foundational criteria. That's where you should focus the most. That's where you can actually win your case. Two to three criteria, ideally three main foundational criteria would be where you'd focus all your work to make sure that you are actually meeting all the elements for each of these three criteria. But when I say meeting all the elements, I don't mean by uh, doing what is necessary, but having evidence documented about every single element of the criteria. This is very important because a lot of people think this is just okay. Yeah, I only need to publish some scholarly articles that should be sufficient.
Right.
But nowadays we see more and more they're questioning what is actually being published, what is the relevance, what is the journal that is publishing your scholarly articles. We need to understand that to actually make good arguments for the externality evaluation. So understanding your foundation criteria is the first step. After that, you can understand what other, maybe one or two more criteria you can explore and pursue opportunities organically. Potentially, if you're an expert in the industry, having salary, contribution, and critical role as your foundation, you could eventually explore judging as an opportunity. Or even if you had some recognition in the field, maybe you could qualify for a few nationally recognized awards that you can explore opportunities. That maybe if you take intentional steps for the next 6 months, you would be in a much better position because now you one work towards documenting everything for your foundational criteria very well, so that's very solid already, and now you are taking steps intentionally towards achieving maybe one or two more criteria depending on your field of expertise.
Okay. Thank you for those insights. For everyone watching, this conversation about O1 visas is not meant to create unrealistic expectations, but it's rather to provide insight into a category that's often misunderstood. Individuals with significant accomplishments may be unaware of opportunities that could be available to them, while others may overestimate what is actually required to qualify. And accurate information can help professionals evaluate their circumstances and approach the process with greater confidence. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. ImmigrationQuestion.com is a networking platform where users can ask immigration related questions at no cost and engage with participating attorneys. We are also proud to share that ImmigrationQuestion.com is Triple B accredited and ISO certified, reflecting our commitment to transparency, accountability, community education, and security. Now, attorney, based on your experience, how does ImmigrationQuestion.com help immigrants as well as immigration attorneys like yourself?
Great. Immigration Question is a great forum for you to, of course, have your questions answered. There's a lot of good information. Sometimes I like to say it's better to be not informed at all than be, ill-informed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have the wrong information, it might put you in a worse position than not having any information at all. So looking for credible sources is very important, and this is where Immigration Question could actually help you, not only through the good quality information, but also connecting you with a trustworthy immigration attorney that could also jump into your case and help you get your case figured out and achieve either an approval for the O1, for example.
Mm-hmm. Now, before we move into our live Q&A, I just want to tackle one important question. What are some common misconceptions about O1 visas and extraordinary ability petitions that you believe we need to clarify to avoid misunderstanding?
Great. Yeah, I guess the biggest misconception about the O1 is that this is a too far-fetched visa for normal individuals, right?
Mm-hmm.
People that have been doing your working in their fields for 5 years, 6 years, sometimes they don't even know, but they qualify for the visa, but they think it is not possible because this is called the extraordinary abilities, and then they think they are not extraordinary. So a lot of people just should reassess that and actually do a consultation with an attorney to actually understand what are the requirements for the visa and understanding whether the profile meet the threshold for the visa. So this is the biggest misconception. This is not a visa for only like very few people. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people could qualify and achieve O1 visa. This is not a visa for anyone, of course, but it's also not a extremely hard visa as well.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding that, it's very important for you to make your decision.
If you're joining us for the first time or you're just joining us now, we're speaking with immigration attorney Zaia on O-1 visa secrets, how individuals with extraordinary ability can secure U.S. work authorization. We're going to move into our live Q&A session. This is your opportunity to ask general questions and hear educational insights from a licensed immigration attorney. Please drop your questions in the chat, or you can call us live at 516-703-3483, and we will take as many questions as the time allows.
Great.
Okay, question number 1. How do I know if my accomplishments are strong enough to qualify for an O-1 visa?
Great. So I would say the first thing you should understand is go through the USCIS website. They have free information there, and that allows you to read at least the criteria. You don't actually have to understand everything, but reading them, you'd have an idea of what they're looking for. But the second step would be, after reading the USCIS, would be to consult with an attorney. That way, you can actually give them your curriculum, your CV, and then they can actually assess whether your accomplishments are strong enough, and they can come up with a strategy for your specific case. That is the best way to do this. It is, a lot of people try to guess it. This is not right. A lot of people are looking for forums and other information. Like I said, it is very important that you look for credible sources for information. USCIS is the government's website, so this is the greatest, first place that you should go for. And then secondly, you should look for an attorney that is licensed, that could assist you and answer all your questions in assessing your profile, whether it has good or not potential for the O-1 visa.
Okay. Question number 2. What does USCIS actually consider as extraordinary ability in the year 2026? And how is it different from simply just being skilled at your job?
Great. So the extraordinary ability is actually a concept that is created by law. And then, of course, the way they assess this is through the criteria that has been created. We have 8 potential criteria. You have to meet at least 3 of them, but also you have to show that you have some recognition as an extraordinary ability professional in your field. What that means is you have been performing above average. So you have been significantly performing above average. This is what they're looking for. And there is no right answer for what is extraordinary abilities. It could be someone that is publishing more articles and receiving more public widespread commentary from the field. For example, someone having tons of citations could be a good way to showcase that you have extraordinary abilities. But also, if you're an entrepreneur, it could also be the fact that you are, great at doing the startup, and you've been able to achieve, a great growth in the last year with your company. You have been recognized. You have been featured in the media. There are different ways for you to showcase your extraordinary ability. A good way to do it is also contributing to your field. If your contributions have been recognized and have been replicated and implemented in the field, that's a great way to show you've been someone that's influential in your field. All right. Being highly skilled in your job is completely different than being of extraordinary abilities, because simply helping your employer and doing your normal duties, although they might help you professionally with that employer specifically, if the benefits and the impact of your contributions are not felt by others outside or your current employer or your employer's customers, then it's quite hard for you to show that you are someone performing above the average. So you need to look for opportunities outside your employment to continuously contribute with your field. It could be through your employer, meaning you've created something that is so impactful that it ends up affecting the field as a whole. But it could also be something that you do outside, externally speaking, your employer, that impacts the field as a whole. So participating in conferences, participating in other events, or even associations that look for individuals that are looking to advance and develop the field. It's a great way to put it.
Okay. Last question. Do I need major awards, publications, or internal recognition to get approved for an O-1 visa?
Great. Yes, you do need them, but you don't need all of them at once. It's like I said, we have 8 potential criteria. You have to meet 3 of them. So if you have awards and publications, that could help you with potentially achieving the O-1 visa if you have a third one. Of course, if you have international recognition on top of having awards and publication, that is very good. But you don't have to be internationally recognized. It could be nationally recognized for your contributions and your activities in your field. So it's important that you understand the 8 available criteria. Focus on the foundational ones. Maybe achieve 1 or 2 more to aim for 4 or 5 criteria maximum, so you're not taking away from the good ones. And then you are seeking the O-1 the right way. You're presenting the right way. The recognition aspect is very important, but you don't have necessarily to have international recognition. It could be regional or even national recognition. It would be sufficient.
Thank you to everyone who joined us for this special edition webinar, and thank you to Attorney Zaia for sharing your knowledge and practical guidance. You can always visit immigrationquestion.com to ask immigration-related questions, stay informed about policy updates, and register for upcoming live events. If you've missed any part of today's discussion, the replay will be available on Spotify soon. Search Borderless Talk by immigrationquestion.com. We look forward to seeing you on Friday at our next live session. Stay informed, stay prepared, and stay connected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was